The God and man connection. Do you have a connection with God? A simple question. Yes or no? Do you have a connection with God? And you already know everybody's answer is going to be, yes, I do. Yes, I do. Well, let me tell you something. You doggone right you got a connection with God. I'm talking to you. I don't care who you are. You have a connection with God. Are you human? You have a connection with God. Were you born because your mama's water broke and she gave birth to you? Well, you have a connection with God. The problem is too many people ignore their connection with God. Too many people live their lives doing whatever they want to do, saying whatever they want to say, going wherever they want to go, having whatever they want to have. But when it comes to their connection with God, they totally disregard it. They ignore their God-man connection. Part of the reason they ignore it is because people think you can't have a connection with God unless you are lined up with man's religion. People think you can't have a connection with God unless you are lined up with man's religion. I hate man's religion. You're not in connection with God because you go to church every Sunday. You're not in connection with God because you're faithful in ministry. You're not in connection with God because you give the tithe and the offering. That is not what makes you have a connection with God. I'm telling you, when I say you got a connection with God, I'm talking to dope heads. I'm talking to prostitutes. I'm talking to people who have never been to church. I'm talking about people who have never prayed. You have a connection with God. Now, if you think you have to be on the church scene and you got to do what man's religion requires you to do in order to have a connection with God, you're wrong. So answer this. How did Adam get a connection with God? How did he get a God-man connection? He got a connection because God breathed the breath of life into Adam and he became a living soul. There it is, the connection. You have a connection with God whether you like it or not. You have a connection with God whether you live by it or not. You have a connection with God whether you ignore it or not. Whether you disregard it or not. You have a God-man connection. The only reason you are living right now is because of your God connection. The only reason you're able to breathe, the only reason you're able to move is because of your God connection. You see, the question is, what are you going to do with your God-man connection? What are you going to do about your connection with God? It's up to you. God is not the big man upstairs. A lot of people look at God like God is Thanos. Like God is all powerful because he has all the infinity stones. Man, God ain't no Avenger. God ain't no superhero. Let me tell you what God is. God is a design. God is the way things were designed to work. And that design that we call God, it can work for you, or God, the design, can work against you. It's up to you how you work that design. It's up to you how you use that God-man connection. When you see people that are walking in blessings, look like everything is going their way, it's because of how they're using that God-man connection. When you see folks doing whatever they want to do, living any kind of way, it's because of how they're using that God-man connection. That's why there's no need to complain. That's why there's no need for jealousy. Because if the truth be told, none of us is anything without God. If the truth be told, none of us can do anything without God. Everything is done through that God-man connection. So what are you doing? What are you saying? How are you acting? Let me ask you a question. Do you have a connection with God?